Thank you very much and good afternoon. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister of Eswatini, the Honorable Ambrose Dlamini, Your Excellency, the patron of number 43 and former Prime Minister of Eswatini, the Honorable Amsolom Themba Dlamini, the former Deputy President of South Africa and the current Executive Director of UN Women, the Honorable Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka and former awardee, the Chief of the South African Defence Force, General Soli Shoke, fellow speakers and awardees, my respectful Nkulu Ubotongo, and all participants. We find ourselves meeting during a challenging time when an invisible enemy has undermined the social fabric of this country, its economy, healthcare, jobs, education, placing greater strain on families and their breadwinners. It has tested us in ways we could not have imagined. While we commend the South African government's commitment to a whole society and a whole of government approach to the COVID-19 response, there is also a whole of family approach too, where we look out for one another, no matter how near or far we are in the world, lending a hand or just listening to them. This pandemic has taught us that family is more than the biological ties that bind. The family is a firm unit, looking out for each other, asking, how can I help? What can I do to assist? When this opportunity came to partner with the number 43 COVID-19 journey, I immediately saw the value of this publication and to honor the work that has gone into it, At first glance, it may appear as a simple story of families in lockdown, both in South Africa and across the world. Upon closer inspection, it is a comprehensively documented experience of families across locations and age groups. More so, I fell in love with the story of Umagogo, a woman who not only managed a home that sheltered and conscientized members of South Africa's struggle heroes, but she was also a woman of conviction, passion, and leadership. The spirit of Umagogo lives with us today, which I see strongly displayed in that of the Masilela and extended families. I have no doubt that Umagogo's spirit guides this event today as we face a different kind of struggle, the divisive and invisible enemy of COVID-19. While the disease lays bare the differences between us, it also connects us. From East Swatini to South Africa to Mauritius and China. We are gathered here because of the legacy of number 43 and Umagogo. But I am also honored to share this platform with Umagogo's husband, 96-year-old Solomon Butong, who I refer to with affection and respect as Nkulu. I put my hands together as I acknowledge and salute your presence here today and the role you two played in the family story. Nkulu, Father Ubutongo, you have certainly lived to tell the tale. Born just after the Spanish flu in 1924, you witnessed the great drought of the 1930s, was conscripted during the Second World War, and lived through the inhuman of apartheid. You also witnessed the transition into democracy. Now, you watch your family rally around during a global pandemic that has shut down countries for months at a time, and in many cases, separated families. We are blessed with your presence and salute your legacy here today. When COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic, it was only a matter of time before the virus entered South Africa. As a UN family, our immediate priorities were twofold: assist and support the government and people of South Africa, and ensure that UN family in South Africa were safe and protected. The leave no one behind principle is fundamental to all the work we do. It guides our response in all we do. While this human rights-based approach is inherently about those who are most vulnerable, it's also an approach that we must implement in our various families. Don't leave your parents, your siblings, your nieces, your nephews, your neighbors, and community behind. We are all stronger together. I believe that Umagogo lived her life in that way through the many roles she played: a nurturer, a teacher, a homemaker, a mom, a wife, and a friend. The Masilela family did not allow the COVID-19 pandemic to interfere with the annual commemoration of Magogoism. I want to acknowledge Zwelibazi Masilela, who encouraged his uncle to document the impact this virus has on the family and the wider community. Even though this exercise is through the lens of just one family, it remains a beacon for many other families too. Through technology, the meetings and catch-up sessions moved beyond the daily checkups. There was debate on the efficacy of the government's response and dangers of the virus. It was heartening to learn that all meetings began with a breathing exercise and a prayer. Each family got a chance to host a meeting. This family even held their breath for 20-second intervals, arguing this would strengthen their lung capacity. I smiled to myself when I saw that you attempted to hold your breath for 43 seconds, and I thought, wow, this family really lives the brand. Then the family started inviting guests to join for prayer, inspiration, and motivation. But this family also had to endure the loss of loved ones in lockdown. They were each other's strength. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and celebrate the youngest contributor to the book, 14-year-old Uviwe Masilela. She wrote a piece reflecting on the family discussions on gender-based violence. She writes, "We agreed that men should never feel entitled to control women and families. And families had the obligation to always protect their female members. We spoke about using our platforms to spread awareness and knowledge about the situation. We mentioned that families should always be there for each member if anything were to happen. Homes should be filled with love. It is common that some abusers come from abusive families and end up growing with hate and violence. To end the cycle of gender-based violence, homes should be places where kids enjoy love, care, and affection." And this is what she wrote. "I am proud of you, Ubuwe, to lending your voice in finding ways to end the shadow pandemic of gender-based violence. I see much of Umagogo in my own family. I was born in a big family with 14 siblings, 10 of us from the same mother and father, and I was just in the middle. I grew up watching my mother managing this big family and providing for her children. A meticulously organized and hardworking person, a naturally gifted leader and manager, she paid particular attention to her dolls and our schooling. In fact, all her girls are relatively more successful than her boys. She earned the respect of my father, who feared and respected her at the same time. There was nothing that could happen in the family without her authorization. She was called the slave driver by the family. We always wished for a mother softer, gentler, and for a macho father, as actually my father was softer than my mother. But as I grew older, I started admiring this remarkable mother. She featured as my reference for everything I did. My mother is now 93 years old, and she is living with me. The COVID-19 is certainly affecting her. On a daily basis, at breakfast, she poses the same one question. When is this ending? When will I go back home and see my family? Will I forever be separated from the rest of the family? And my response is also the same. Mama, this is going to end soon. We are learning to appreciate the importance of togetherness. It will be over soon, and you will reunite with the rest of the family. Ladies and gentlemen, we all need to aspire to be the mother that could shape the being of the vision we have for the future generation, very much like what Umagogo did. Today's event also comes during the commemoration of Women's Month. 2020 is a pivotal year for gender equality. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, the international blueprint to achieve gender equality and women's empowerment adopted by 189 governments across 12 critical areas of concern. Indeed, there has been significant progress on women's and girls' rights since Beijing 25 years ago. 131 countries have removed discriminatory laws. More girls globally receive 12 years of education compared to 6.7 years in 1970. Global maternal mortality ratio decreased by 38% since 2000. In South Africa itself, at 50% of women ministers in cabinet, one of only 11 countries in the world, women have the right to exercise control over their reproductive health and have access to social protection. What the Masilela family is doing now is having a conversation about gender-based violence. As a family, they are collectively tackling the unfinished business of empowering women through a multi-generational conversation. Because what we know for sure is that when women lead, development thrives and peace prevails. I want to close by paying homage to the people to whom this publication is dedicated to those who lost their loved ones and were affected by COVID-19 in any form or manner, to salute those citizens of South Africa and the world who dared their lives for our health, many of whom were lost in the battle, protecting us. As you rightly observe on the book, it is faith that kept the number 43 movement alive, focused and determined for over 40 years in exile. It is that same faith that will propel number 43 and its legacy to greater heights. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, and talking about family, I am glad to see many of my wider UN family participating in this event. A family that has rallied together and worked tirelessly, especially during this difficult period of lockdown. I am truly blessed to be part of this family. In particular, I want to single out my big sister, who's also my boss and my friend, Phumzile Mlambo Gogoka. Phumzile, I want you to know that at a personal level, you are a very special, kind, humble friend and sister I truly count on. On the professional level, as my boss and the boss of many of us, women, you are a source of inspiration, motivation, a mentor, a go-to person, always positive, constructive, engaging, and encouraging. We all admire you and love you. I want you to know that you are a symbol of all good qualities. Your passion and commitment is infectious and will last forever. Finally, a great thank you to the Masilela family for this invitation and for ensuring the legacy of your family's heritage. I hope this book finds itself on the coffee table of each and every home in this world, as it carries immense value. God bless you, and I thank you.